Get to record. There we go. All right. So there I see Ford. Come on in, Ford. Welcome. So we're going to get started here today. We're going to talk about how to dominate the new build market. It's going to be a great call for you today. If you've never done new builds as a real estate agent, today you're going to learn from some experts that are going to help you, show you how to do it the right way. If you don't do it the right way as an agent, it can be a waste of time if you're not doing it properly. And so we've got some superstars that are going to be on there today. We've got an agent that's going to be talking to you who's been doing real estate for 27 years, started her career with new builds back in the 1900s. Back in 1997, she started new builds. She became the #1 new build agent, new build rep in the country for the largest builder here in Central Ohio. And that is Stacy Lambright. And then from there, she went on and started her real estate career after she got out of new builds. She's going to talk to you a little bit about what to do and what not to do as an agent, how to get new build leads, all kinds of great tips like that. From there, we're going to have Ford come on, and Ford's going to talk to you. And Ford's going to tell you a little bit about how he worked at Fisher Homes for a couple years and then got into the new build industry and has taken off and is an absolute superstar now with us as a newer agent. He's got a couple years under his belt, but he's a newer agent. And then we're going to hear from Stephanie Gilson, who's actually a builder, and going to talk to you from the viewpoint of a builder. Like, what would agents, what would you need to do to become the builder favorite, right? Like the teacher's pet. What would you do to become the builder favorite so that maybe you can land some marketing money, maybe you can land some listings, you can list some of their spec homes, all kinds of cool stuff like that. So without any further ado, I'm going to give you one piece of housekeeping. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat box or raise your little hand down there. There's an emoji. You can raise your hammer to keep this nice, and because we are recording it, keep the thing nice and clean. Keep your mute button on from there. And if you would like to, if you go in the chat box and put in your area that you work in and your contact information, at the end of this, you'll be able to download the chat and you'll have a list of a bunch of like-minded agents from different parts of the country that you might be able to share referrals and tips and tricks and make friendships with and things like that. And so with that, without further ado, 27th year in selling homes. Started way back in 1997. I'm going to bring on Stacy Lambright, who's going to tell you how to absolutely dominate the new build market to make more money in less time and have more fun selling real estate. Stace, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Awesome. So I don't even know if it's a matter of dominating the new build market, but I don't know about everybody's market. If it's like ours and you have buyers out in the car, you're probably up against bidding wars, appraisal gaps, sellers that don't want to look at a VA buyer or maybe a home to sell contingency. So in our market right now, it's an absolute must. I'm partial to new builds, did it for 9 years, like Jim said, but I'm going to show you a way that this is actually for our brand new agents. Literally, I have 2 success stories I'm going to talk about where they just got licensed. Within a matter of a week, we have one of them that already has her first deal in contract on a new build. So I'm going to show you how she did that and how we do it. Basically, when you're stepping into a market, it's a must as far as getting to learn the builder reps we choose one from each builder. Obviously need to vet them. But with this new agent, one of the first things that we had her do was she went and met with them. He put her in an open house. Did one of their models. They picked one of the ones that's ready to go. They advertised it in your CRM. If your CRM is like ours, you can actually take that. If it's a listing on the MLS, you can build a squeeze page for it and actually advertise it, which is what she did. So this was a Tuesday open house from 2 to 4. She had one person come in that did not have a realtor, and she immediately just put him in the car, took him down to the model. The agent sat with them, or the new build rep sat with them, and she actually went into contract on it. So it's an absolute, it's a must in our market with the competition. With new builds, I think some of the points that I always point out to is it's important to know when thresholding is really big in certain markets. Every builder is different, so it's very, very critical to know if you have to be with them on the first trip in. And I'm going to show what we did here, Jim. I'm going to screen share if I can.
Yep, I made you co-host. You have screen share capabilities. Go for it. Okay. By the way, while Stacy's pulling that up, she's being very modest. She's got 20 million in residential sales in the last 12 months, actually 19.7 to be exact. but she was able to spend 3 months in the Caribbean. We were able to spend 3 months in the Caribbean because of new build sales. Adding to that, you can really free up your time by doing new build sales. But go for it, Stace.
So I want to show you, this is actually what we duplicated for the new agents. And I actually use this too. We were on purpose with adding new builds into our business this year. Jim just gave a stat and we just pulled our stats. This year, our volume is up 67% and our GCI is up 67%, but our actual units of sales was only 25%. And the difference in the gap is we were on purpose with adding new builds into our business this year. And this is actually a email that I got just this morning from Miranda. And I purposely went on Miranda. I don't know if they're in your market. This would work with any new build, but they sent their inventory list this morning. So I went and looked for the one that's ready now, if you see here, because in our market, the new builds, most new build, they have their own financing. And so this particular new build rep, this new build has a 4.99% fixed rate. So I took this property, went over to Facebook just this morning, and I built this ad right here 44 minutes ago, if you can see this. And here's what you're going to want to target, because this is what buyers are tired of dealing with in the market. As you can see, I got no bidding wars. A home to sell contingency is okay. VA buyers are okay. FHA is welcome. Inspections are okay. I don't know about in your market, but in our market right now, buyers are waiving inspections, which I never ever recommend. They're waiving requests for remedies. This is in a great school system. I put 30 minutes to downtown. One of the things that I didn't do was I didn't name the builder. Most builders don't like you to do that. I also didn't put it in a location. I wanted them to know that that was very close to our downtown area. The reason being is this is just one home. So the whole thing is, this is an actual ad where they can click on it and get information from me. But we have numerous builders, numerous inventory homes. So no matter where they want to be, we have a home for them. The biggest thing that we hear with new builds, the objective is time. But if you take a look at maybe even talk to some of your buyers that have lost some of these bidding wars, a lot of times they've already been in the market 2 to 3 months where they could have actually already closed on an inventory home with a builder. Their perception is in the beginning, I don't have the time. But if your market's like ours, they end up spending months looking for a house anyway. And then 2, make sure you're always pointing out that 4.99% interest rate. When I meet with a buyer, and the first thing that I hear is, I'm always finding out what's your comfort zone in payment, what areas are you open to, if they have little to no down payment. In this market, the seller pays the closing cost, a majority of our builds. But I purposely literally start changing their mind thought process. If they fit the parameters of a new build, that's what we guide them. We don't steer them, we guide them to talk with the new build reps. But also too, if you have a buyer that comes to you in their pre-approved for 250 to 300,000, just to give you an example, in our market, that buys you hardly anything. And if it does, it's not what they want. A year and a half ago that you could have doubled the price and they were happy. Now they're not. With the builder interest rates, it literally can buy them almost 6 figures in buying power for the exact same payment. So make sure you're really in tune to that. Like I said, Sarah was one of the things that we talked about. That was the girl that actually went in, literally her first client, sat in the new build, went down, walked it down with the builder rep. And then Candace, I think a lot of people probably know Candace, it's in our sphere. She took this exact ad a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. We actually tweak it for what's going on in the current market, but it looks similar to this. She was a brand new agent, 6 months into the business, decided to run this ad, actually partnered with the builder reps because a lot of them will actually help you pay your marketing. And she put $150 a month towards this ad on Facebook, and she targeted it. If this inventory home, like this particular one, was in a certain area, she actually built her target area for right around that housing development. In year 2, running this ad at $150 a month, she did 8 million in sales with us. So that's just 2 of our examples. Jim, I don't know if you want to add anything with new builds that we do in our business.
One thing that I think Stacey's done a great job with is going out to the builders and building a relationship with a specific builder rep. Like, call in, find out who's the builder rep that you want to work with, and go out there and actually talk with the rep. Like, get to know them, find out what's their best selling model. And one thing we always want to say on these masterminds, I forgot to say earlier in the housekeeping, make sure you check with your broker. We have people from all over the country here, and obviously states differ from state to state as to what you're allowed to advertise and what you're allowed to say. So definitely, like if you're going to run this ad, make sure it's cool in your state where you're at. But sit down with the builder rep. They know what sells, and they'll tell you what you're allowed to do. Sometimes these builder reps already have the photographs done for you. They'll say, this is my best selling model. This is when we sell it more than anything else. Here's some photos. You can use it. In our market, you're not allowed to use the builder name. Stacey, if you want to kill the screen share, that'll pop everybody back up on there. We don't use the builder name, right? We are allowed to use their images and their likenesses, but we're not allowed to actually use the name. So it's going to vary from builder to builder and from state to state. It's also very important what Stacey said, I think, about thresholding. Different builders have different rules as to what counts as a threshold, right? Stacey, you want to tell a story about that? Without using any names, without using any builder names?
Which one? We have numerous.
One where the thresholding did not. Go ahead.
So if you get into custom builds, which I think Stephanie can probably talk a little bit more about that, but that's where here you start with the land, you go out and you interview a couple of different custom builders. We have one in here in particular that you have to actually walk through the door with them. Even though we did the introduction, text messages, emails, everything back and forth, they decided to go on a Sunday at 1 o'clock when I had to be in an open house. And because I actually didn't walk through the door with them, even after numerous communications and us introducing them, they did not honor the representation. They
refused to pay us, and so they will forever be in our family. We do not never take another person to them again because of that. And so very short-sighted on that builder's part. So something else is happening really cool right now, guys. If you've noticed, like maybe commissions have been going down a little bit here and there, maybe you're getting offered less on the builder or on the buyer representation, representing a buyer. What's happening with builders right now, Stacey, in Columbus, and maybe happening in other markets too?
So they definitely offer incentives. And one builder we have here, we've already done, once you hit your 5th deal with them, they did like $1,000 bonus, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on each deal. So we're down on like our 8th contract with them, where the last 3 have been the $5,000, and that'll continue through the fiscal year. So
3% plus an extra 5 G's on top of that, just for bringing people by. And some builder reps that one of the reasons Stacey and I were able to spend 3 months in St. Croix last year was because some of our builder reps we've worked with, they consider thresholding. You set an appointment with them, name and number, and they'll count that as thresholders. Others just want a Zoom appointment. Like they'll take the live appointment in their model with your client, and you can be on Zoom from a Caribbean island with a margarita in your hand, and that counts as thresholding. And I think
one thing that's important to point out too, Jim, is that especially on the Facebook marketing, when you're advertising the 4.99 seller paid closing costs, the whole goal in any marketing is just to get the phone to ring. You now have a client that if the new build doesn't work, you've connected with them. So that's another point too, is it's just something different to talk about other than the crazy market that's out there.
Set an appointment with a builder rep, go and sit down with them. They know what's allowed to be marketed and what's not. Make sure it's cool with your broker and run it. I would also add, rates are great to run 4.99, but some builders here in Columbus, it could be different in your state, will allow you to run a payment range. Payments as low as $14.99. And then you have pictures of this beautiful new build house, right? Of course, that was principal and interest. But anyways, if it fits their requirements, I mean, people buy payments, they don't buy price. And a lot of times they don't even buy interest rate, right? This is why new car dealers do leases. You can buy a $90,000 car when the lease rate's subvented, and you can get, an $800, $900 a month payment on it. People buy payments, they don't buy price. And the same thing goes with housing on this. So great stuff, Stacey. Anything you want to add, or we'll move on to Ford?
I think we're done.
Great. So if you have questions for Stacey, you can put them in the chat. We'll come circle back around to her afterwards. We're going to love the participation part. By the way, if you have like ideas in your head, we're going to be hearing from you guys here in just a little bit. But I've got 2 more amazing speakers coming up for you. The next one's Ford Ness. And Ford, I mentioned, was with Fisher Homes for a couple of years. And he's a newer agent, I believe, less than 5 years in the business. But he's absolutely rocking it. He's one of the top agents in his brokerage nationwide. And Ford, we're going to have you take it from there, brother.
Sweet. Thanks for the intro, Jim. And thanks, John and Jim, for having me on. I'm going to share my screen here if I can. It's disabled, so.
All I gotta do is make you co-host. Hang on one second, Ford. I'm
All
gonna make you co-host. Hang on one second. You should have permission here any second to go for it.
There we go.
Okay, man.
Sweet. So my amazing wife put this presentation together for me. For us, I should say, right? There we go. New construction with me. So like Jim said, I started in new home sales. Before that, I actually grew up in the home renovation industry, installing tile, installing cabinets, all that different stuff. And then I got my license in 2020, sold a little over $12 million in real estate last year. For you guys, so one of the biggest things that I realized when I got into real estate, I had like multiple people I knew go into a builder and buy a home without me. I think they thought that like, hey, it's either going to cost me more money or, they just didn't need me for the transaction. So what I've started to do this year, much like Stacy, is like start advertising to our database, to our sphere that like, I am here to help you through this process, and even have had builders pay for some of my marketing. Here's a video we did on Instagram just to showcase a new home or a new community that was coming.
Thrilled to take you on a tour of the Monon Corner.
Can you guys hear this?
Yep.
Let's take a look at this place. It's got everything you want. Spacious living areas.
Just a quick 60-second
more
video
natural light than a sunflower field in
showcasing a new development that's happening in Westfield.
You will be surrounded by friendly neighbors, top-notch schools.
Did not necessarily run this by my broker to see if it fits all of our regulations. So maybe that's something I need to do in the future. Also, we email blast out to our database, different neighborhoods that are coming in the Indianapolis area, whether it be downtown, north side, different counties. We try to hit all different price points. At the top of all of our emails, we do ask for referrals, and then we get into the information that we are providing. We send emails pretty much every week, but once a month we do a new home series where we are covering one of these communities just to get awareness out there, and then also keep top of mind that we are able to help them with new construction. Keep jumping
Hey,
back.
Ford, real quick, did you do that video yourself, or did the builder provide you with that photography and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I've got a videographer that I use for all my listings, and the builder split the cost of having the videographer out there to record all of that. Nothing's necessarily came from that one video, but it's just something we're trying to do every month to one, give us content for our Instagram, and then also just stay top of mind for that builder relationships. So the key, I mean, Stacey, and you've already kind of talked on this, the key is the relationships, right? Both with your clients and the builder. I usually sit down with all my clients when they're starting a home buying process and go through like a home orientation. Part of that home orientation is just asking them if they're open to new construction. If they are, I then have relationships with builder reps throughout the city. I will call those builder reps, get them registered. So if they do walk in, I'm going to be getting paid for those transactions. I also expressed during that meeting that like, hey, the builder rep, they're usually great people and, are great at their jobs, but their ultimate goal is to sell a house for the builder. So you want to have representation. You want somebody to be there looking out for your best interest. Also get into the fact that it's not going to cost them any money to have me involved, and also have my experience of selling new construction for the last 5 years. On the builder relationship side, definitely want to get your clients registered. So you want to have those relationships that you can call, text, hey, get Jim and Susie registered under me. And then also, these guys are sitting in a model home 7 days a week, and they can't go sell a house that's not a builder home. So sometimes they have people that walk in that need to sell a house, and they need an agent that they can trust, that they know that's going to get the job done to sell that house. So building relationships with builder reps that can send you leads is another way to generate leads on a monthly basis. They sometimes have 20 people a month walking through their doors that may need an agent. So those relationships have helped me.
Hey, Ford, real quick, when you say register someone, for somebody on here who's never done a new build, what does register their client mean?
Yeah, so in order to get paid, you have to be like the procuring cause of a transaction, or you're supposed to be the procuring cause of the transaction, right? So for us, it's just sending names, and then they put my email under them, they put my phone number, and they're just saying like, hey, if Jim Miller walks into the model, like Ford was the reason that they came, and they are now in their CRM and tied back to my name. I have a list of questions. I don't know if it'll pull up here. Let's see. I have a list of questions that I like to ask all the builders while I am with clients. Do I ask all these questions? I can email this list to all of you guys after this as well. No, I don't ask them all these questions, but one, it like sets me apart as providing value to my clients. So that way they know like, this isn't my first rodeo. You're going to be protected. You're going to be serviced throughout this whole system. And we're going to make sure that we're working together with the builder to give them the best experience possible. Happy to send this over to you, Jim, and get this out to everybody else as well.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's a great FAQ list. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. We'll get that out to people so they can get a chance to see that.
Let's present this again. We're almost there. And then, yeah, important takeaways. The builder pays you. It's already budgeted into their marketing, so you don't have to worry about asking your clients to pay you. And it's not like they're going to go out and get a better deal if they don't use you. If your client walks into a model home, calls you, hey, we're thinking about buying this house, we haven't done so yet, you can call the builder rep and still get on that transaction a lot of times. So, you know, work your ass off to make that happen. A lot of times it is 3% of the base price, 3% of the total price. So, you know, in our market, that's usually a $500,000 price point. So I always try to make that happen. And then always get a home inspection prior to closing. You can negotiate with the builder. If there's anything that comes up, they're usually going to take care of it. So always recommend to your clients to get that done. And then the biggest thing is like your clients don't know, your clients, your sphere, they don't necessarily know that you can help them with this. And they think it's going to cost them more money if you actually get involved. They think they may be able to negotiate a better deal without you. So the biggest piece is just educating them, not once, but like on a continual basis that, hey, I can be involved. I've done this multiple times, and I know that there's incentives available, and we just have to ask for them. So yeah, feel free to reach out with any questions. I'm happy to share that, you know, that question list with you guys and answer any questions.
Beautiful. Ford, you're in Indianapolis, I'm taking it.
I am, yes.
Beautiful. And you accept referrals, it looks like on there. So beautiful. Well done on that. Great job. Great job. If you have any questions for Ford, feel free to throw in the chat. We're going to circle back around to everybody. Oh, Stacy has a question for you, Ford. Is it possible for you to save it as a PDF and put it in the chat? I think you might be able to add a file right there in the chat, I think.
Yeah. And one more thing too, Jim, before we hop over to Stephanie. One thing I forgot to mention is most of the builders, I think all of them in our market, but obviously you'd want to check, they have the Hometown Hero programs, which is something that you can advertise. They give more incentives on top of what they're already doing for your firefighters, your nurses, your teachers, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Great info on that stuff. You guys, a ton of gold nuggets coming in here, guys. So you heard about it so far, the new builds from a new build rep, and also from the side of an agent. But now we wanted to take a look at what's it like from the side of a builder. What's it like for the builder to work with an agent? Why would a builder want to work with you? And with that, we've got Stephanie Gilson's going to be on here. Stephanie has, she started her real estate business in the 1900s too. She was only 5 years old when she started hers. But she has it from the builder side. She's been in the development side of it. She is also an agent, a real estate agent, but she's going to talk to you about how to put your best foot forward, how to be the best realtor for the builder so that you can get those sweetheart deals, like maybe when they have a client who needs to have their home listed and doesn't already have an agent. How do you become that person, Stephanie? Tell everybody the goods from the builder side, please.
Absolutely. And I am a real estate broker first, but I did become a builder about 9-10 years ago when I was developing neighborhoods and really trying to get them relaunched. So I went into the building business just to set the stage and set the precedent of what I wanted that neighborhood to look like. And so really that's how I got into the building business. One of the things with, and what I do, and Stacy mentioned this, is the custom home building side. So everybody probably has those markets, or in your market where you've got these custom homes, right? And so, where I live in the building industry is usually around that $2 million price point and above. And so currently we've got 23 homes under construction that range from 2.150 to $7.8 million. Okay. And so when you're dealing with that level of client, yes, they typically are going to have an agent. And we love working with agents because we look at that agent as that facilitator, that person that can help. Because when you're dealing with that level of house, the detail is, it's just off the charts, the level of detail. And so I'm going to tell stories today because I think it's the best way that I learn. And I think it's the best way that you all can learn. But, there'll be times I'll get a call from a real estate agent. And they're like, look, I've got a client that's interested in the Breakers at Prospect, which is one of my developments. And this is a super high-end luxury gated community. And, what I always offer up to that agent is I say, listen, Stacy, I want you to bring this client. I'd love to build them a home. But before we meet with the client, I want to meet with you. I want you to understand the ins and outs of this development. I want you to understand how we build. I want you to understand the level of magnitude, because what we're getting ready to do, if this all works out, is I'm going to marry your client for quite some time. And I want to make sure that it's going to work for both parties. And when the agent says, wow, yes, I want to do that, I like that agent because one, they're showing that they're really committed to the transaction. Okay. Now, I'm going to say 2 out of 10 say yes to those meetings. The rest of them don't have time, don't care, but they want me to pay them a commission. And it's like immediately, when agents walk around and say, oh, builders don't like to pay us commission and this and that, they absolutely do love to pay commission, but they want the same level of commitment back from the real estate agent. And so the best thing for you to do is to always offer up those meetings. Okay. Now, for those of you that are sitting on the call going, well, I don't have a client for, this amazing custom home builder, but I see that he or she's doing amazing things and I want to build a relationship. Well, then I encourage you to pick up the phone and call that builder and say, look, Michael, I see you're building these amazing homes. I'm working with many of different clients that I think, your subdivision or your homes could be a fit for. I'd like to schedule a 30-minute to 1 hour long meeting and understand your process, truly understand your quality of work so that I can then take this back to my clients. They're going to love you for that. If you take that initiative, you will win every single time. Okay. And so think about those, just like Stacy's doing the Facebook marketing and Ford's doing the marketing on all of these different opportunities that are under construction. You could be doing the exact same thing for these builders. Okay. If they haven't already committed to one agent. I get reached out to every single day, agents in the Louisville, Kentucky market, begging me to advertise my houses. And I tell them, absolutely not until you've spent 1 hour with me and you understand what you're trying to represent. And hardly any of them take me up on it. They don't want to put in the time or the effort, which is absolutely crazy because the level of commissions that we pay out, $60,000 to $280,000 in commission for these houses. Okay. And so those exist around you all. You just have to look for them. Now, when it's time to show up with the client, there's another story for you. You know, I am always there to show my houses. I'm the builder. I understand what I'm doing. I'm creating a lifestyle build. That's how I build. It's a lifestyle build. It's a very large storytelling process. And I take everyone through all the nooks and crannies. Most of the people walk out of my showings and they're just like dumbfounded. They've never experienced a showing like that because I know what I'm doing so well. The agents that listen and can duplicate that process are my favorite agents to work with, regardless of what brokerage they're at, right? And I love that because they have paid attention. They're able to regurgitate, even if I'm not at that appointment, exactly how I built because they have brought the commitment level. Now I have had agents, and this is the worst thing anybody can do. And Stacy, Ford, chime in. I'm sure you've experienced this as well. But I have had agents show up with clients. I do, my introduction, I welcome them in. And the first thing out of the realtor's mouth is, oh, this stone is so ugly. Or why did you go with this color of cabinet? Or the office seems a bit small. And I'm just thinking to myself, why don't you shut your mouth and let me create a process? Because I don't want to pay builders don't want to pay a commission to have an opinion. Do you understand what that means? Now, if it's coming from the buyer that's going to pay for the property, hey, that's a different story. But the realtors don't need to inject your opinion or, into what is going on there. That's where a lot of agents mess up in the new construction process. You think the way that you are there to earn your commission is by making sure that your opinion is known when everybody has different styles, different tastes, different everything. I just finished building my own personal home that took me 2 years to build because of all the detail that went in it. And, right across the street, I finished another home at the same amount of time. Totally different ends of the spectrum. My taste is so different than what I built across the street. But you know what? That's what those people wanted. I'm not there to tell them what's cool and what's not cool in their mind. It's their job to just bring the check and me deliver exactly what they're requesting. And I think that's where a lot of times agents make those mistakes is you feel like you're being paid for your opinion, when in all actuality, you're there for the process. You're there to make sure the timelines. You're there like Ford has with all of those questions so that he understands how the process is working for the builder. You're there to win over builders, because guess what? Buyers come and go, but the builders are there to stay, right? So why not build those relationships, So I want to pause there because I know that's a little bit different than what we've been talking about, but I want to have time for everybody to be able to, ask questions to the entire panel or contribute more, Stacy and Ford, to what I just brought.
Stephanie, I think that was a really good point. You made a couple of them. One is not only for their opinion, but every builder in our market is different. So one of the first things that we teach our new agents is go in and to be point frank, just like you said, just shut up. Your job is to get the buyer there, sit down and listen, because the new build consultant knows their product. They know their interest rate programs might be different. Their construction process might be different. So do not try to be an expert in that field. Let them do their job. Yeah, so that's a great point. Absolutely. Shut up and get paid is what we used to say. When I worked my 9 years, just sit down, shut up and get paid.
Exactly.
So if anybody has questions, you can put them in the chat or you can raise your hand and we can ask questions here. I've got a question for the panel right now while people are formulating some questions in their head. Or if you have a comment, if somebody has something, a tip or trick that you want to put out here to the panel or to the people that are watching. Here's a question I have for the panel. What should a person or an agent who lives in a more rural area and they're not in a metropolitan area, they don't live in a metropolitan area, how can they get into the new build game? What's your tips, tricks, or thoughts on that?
Be willing to drive to the metropolitan area.
I actually heard you mention it a little bit earlier, Stacy.
Was it the custom builds?
Yeah, I mean, custom build doesn't have to mean very expensive build, right?
Correct. So in our market, we have a builder called Wayne Homes, and I present it to our buyers that might be on the lower end of as far as the price point. This builder is very reputable. They've been in our market for decades, and they kind of allow everything starts as a bare minimum, and they allow you to put in what you can. So it's going to come with laminate counters, not granite. It's going to come with vinyl, not hardwood. And then I think a point to be made too is in our market, I don't know if it's like this for you, but buildable land in that 2 to 3 acre to 5 acre is just as scarce and as competitive as single family homes. So one of the things that we've been teaching our newer agents is start looking for the larger plots of land. Maybe a farmer selling X amount, 100 acres or 75 acres, and approach the listing agent and ask them if we're willing to pay the split, which in our market is about 2,000 to 3,000 for the survey and to get everything done. Can we parcel off, 2, 3, 5 acres? Is that something that you're willing to look at? I would say if you venture into, just like Stephanie said, with come and get educated on my product before you start pitching it, that's a whole different ballgame. You've got to know construction loans. You've got to know if you're going to go down that road, get versed, get with a mentor, learn it before you start pitching it, because that is a whole different ballgame with, permits and zoning and septic and wells and all that fun stuff. But it's a market that's out there for sure.
It is a niche that's available for people, especially with us having a low inventory. Stephanie, go ahead.
I was going to add to that because, there is a lot of building companies, and I'm going to say one that's over in Indiana, but they're in 7 states now. I think the TK Constructors, they build on your lot. Basically, you have the land and they'll come build, out of their 30, 40 different, floor plans. And so as an agent back in the day, and this is back when, oh my God, I was probably 23 years old. I was listing a lot of rural land because we had a lot of farms in different areas in the county that I grew up in. And one of the things that I did, because there wasn't as many buyers for the raw land as there were buyers for homes. So I reached out to TK Constructors. They're out of Muncie, Indiana. And I said, listen, I want you to calculate up exactly what it is to build this house on this land, and that's how I'm going to list it. And they loved it because guess what? They got to build without having any money put up. The seller loved it because their property was not only being marketed as vacant land, but it was also being marketed as a build to suit, which then attracted all the people wanting new constructions. And so if you're in a rural market and you can get land or lot listings, that's exactly what I would do, is reach out to a we build on your lot type builder and put that package together and market it out there, because you'll end up winning in a big way. We did this with a development at Doe Valley. If anybody's familiar with Brandenburg, Kentucky, it's about 45 minutes outside of Louisville. I end up with 4,318 lots to list. Imagine that. Okay. This was 2004. I'm like, how the heck am I going to sell 4,318 lots? Well, that's how I did it, by putting those homes on those lots. So I didn't sell the lots, guys. Instead of selling $30,000 lots, I started selling $250,000 houses, right? So move up your bottom line there. There's a great way to do it.
I love that. There's riches and niches if you're looking out there, especially with, the lower side of the inventory, the way things has been. It's a great way for you to develop something that no one else has seen or heard of, and that no other agent in your market is doing, right? We always say this: if everybody else is going one way, we want to be going the other. Stacey and I have always been that way, because if you do what everyone else does, you're going to get what they got. And if you like what they got, then go ahead and do that. But from what we've seen from most agents, we wanted something a little different than that. Stacey, you wanted to add something?
I was just going to say,
Or feel free to jump in too. Don't let the ladies talk over top of you the whole time, man.
I know sometimes, especially with a newer newer agent, when they need the commissions, that time frame starts to look really hefty. But kind of put that out, because once you start your snowball going and make new builds a part of your business, whether it's building from scratch or inventory homes, it's just adding to your everyday business. And once that starts happening, and if you can add 1 to 2 closings a month, especially in our market, when the winter, when the snow starts flying, people start cracking doors here, or stop cracking doors here. And so those new builds that we have in them, that momentum that we may have put in the spring really comes in handy when you have a November, December, January new build closing.
January and February are some of the biggest builder months there is. And if any of you can do math, you can figure out why. If it's a 6 to 9 month build time, when's it get done? Gets done in time for school, right? They do December, January, February contract and they build it. It's done, July, August, September, which is perfect for getting kids into the school system. That's great stuff. On that, Ford, you unmuted. Go for it, man.
Yeah, I unmuted and now I'm spacing what I was going to even bring up. So keep moving.
All right, no problem. I got another question. Anybody else, by the way, questions you can put in the chat, or you can raise your hand down at the bottom and you can unmute you. I've got you, everybody here set so they can
I got
unmute
it.
and ask a question.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Ford, go for it.
Yeah, so one thing that I like to use builders for a lot, it's like sometimes you sit down with a buyer and they're like, no, I'm not interested in new builds, but I want like an older home, X, Y, and Z. You take them through a couple older homes and you can tell right away they are not going to go for an older home, but they keep wanting to explore that route. So a lot of times, like taking them to a new build option, like you're having somebody else as a sales rep that wants them to buy this product, and maybe it's not, and it doesn't end up being that model or that builder, but you start getting them thinking about other options. So some of those like difficult or more particular buyers, it's a great option for, because they get to pick out what they want and make it to how they want it to be. So I've had success taking some more difficult buyers, more particular.
Ford, just admit it, working at Fisher Homes, there's magic pixie dust in those models, right? When people walk in, they breathe in some type of fumes. It's like getting in a new car. When they sit you in the new car, you're not leaving without it. They do that in the models, don't they? There's some type of special.
There's something. I mean, my wife and I looked for houses for 18 months and couldn't come to a compromise on what we wanted. So we went and built what we wanted to do. And yeah, I mean, we've sat down in a Fisher model and signed the papers a week later.
Beautiful. We got a question here from Sarah Thomas, who's very excited about new builds. I know that. Sarah, unmute and go ahead. Go for it. Fire the question away.
Yeah. So my question is like, for example, if you're sitting in an open house for a particular new build, but a client like comes in that's not represented, you step in as their realtor, and after talking with them more, you think a different new builder would kind of fit what they're looking for better. How do you go about that without making it like, I don't know, without it seeming like you're trying to take money away from this new build rep or anything like that?
That's a great ethics question, Sarah. Well done. Spoken like a new agent on there. Very ethical. I like it. Good question. Go for it, Ford. How would you feel if you had an agent? Yeah, you heard the question. Go for it.
Yeah. I mean, to like Stephanie's point, like we're not here to give our opinion. But in that scenario, like I wouldn't say anything in front of the builder. I'd wait till we're in private conversation and then be like, hey, this was a great opportunity. This is a great house. I do think I have another option for us. I think we should go explore that. Maybe we come back to this one, maybe we don't, but before we make a final decision, I think we should, explore all of our options.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And just communicate, Sarah, just communicate with the original builder also. If you take them to another builder and they like a certain floor plan and a certain school system or something like that, you can always bounce it back and give them. I think everybody understands that they're not going to be everything for everyone, but give them maybe a shot to say, hey, they just wanted to update you on this client that they are looking at such and such and such and such area. Do you have something similar that might be competitive or that they would want to look at before they make a decision?
Whoever gets me the lead always gets first crack. That's what I say. And then it's their job to close them once they're in there. That's how I ethically.
Before I forget this thought process, Jim, because I know how I am. One thing too is to keep in mind, new builds are a great investment. So I've been running into a lot of where basically I have buyers that are making concessions because the house that they want and the area they want and it's just not happening. So they're actually looking at homes that they're not completely happy with. And we just had one couple that after losing multiple offers and they were literally going to start making concessions on houses. I talked to them. I said, listen, if it's a house that you're going to have to resell in 3 to 5 years because you hate it or you don't like it or it's not exactly where you want to be, let's talk a little bit about new builds, because in a new build community, especially if your buyer gets in early in the development, by the time that builder is done finishing out that community, their exact home is it could well be into the 6 figures as far as equity. So we were looking for a ranch on a basement, and they ended up buying a 4-bedroom, 2-story with no basement. Wasn't a good school system because their thought process was, I know I'm selling it in 3 years and we haven't even closed yet. And they've already made like 35,000 on the base price. So that's something to talk to people about too. If you're not going to buy your perfect home because of the market, let's buy one that's going to put money in your pocket in 3 to 5 years when we can sell it. So that's definitely something to think about in that thought process too.
Love it. Vicky Brooks Robinson had a great thing in the chat. Vicky, you got your hand raised too. Unmute and tell us what you said, because everybody here is going to be very interested in that.
Well, I thought maybe I would say something because I don't have my glasses on, so there's some typos in there. So I thought maybe I'd explain myself. I did new builds for about 3 years. I've been in real estate for 21, 22 years. So I thought I would try it for a different experience. And the builder that I was with was a small builder. He was basically just in Southern California. They did not like real estate agents to come. They offered a commission, but they did not like the real estate agent to drop their client off and have some anything to do with the sale. They basically want them to walk away because, like both of you said, sometimes they interfere and they cause the sale to go sideways because they've got too much to say. But the other thing is going on right now that I've noticed, and I have connections with about 3 different builders right now, so I can go to 3 different builders and make relationships and have some properties to sell. But what several of them are not doing now is offering commissions in Southern California because the market is so lean. They don't have to work hard to get a sale from an outside buyer. So I think the most important part is for folks to basically make sure they ask, are you going to pay me a commission?
That is absolutely great advice. And one thing I would say to that builder is realtors have long memories. Just remember that, because when the market swings back the other day, the other way, we'll remember who was paying and who wasn't.
That's right.
So, hope everyone got a laugh out of that. So I got a great question. I think this is a really important one for our panel and anybody else who has stuff to chip in on this one. But what's your number one lead generation tool or system or whatever to get new build leads? I like, okay, I hear this. It sounds great. I want to get into it. Where do I get the leads for that? Do you have anything? Go ahead in any particular order. Fire away. What's your number one? We saw Stacy's Facebook ad. What else we got?
I'm going back to the relationships with the builders. Multiple people walk into those builders every week and they don't have representation with selling their own house. So you can double in to sell from somebody that's going to send you a referral. But you have to build that trust and relationship with that builder that if they're going to send you a client, you're not going to come in and give their opinion. They already have them sold. All you have to do is sell their house. So Ford, you taking them out for beer and chicken wings to grease the relationship? What are you doing to build a relationship? Anytime, all the time. Happy hours. I mean, they're part of my sphere just as much as any other potential client is, if not more. I mean, they're like on my A list because they can send me 3-5 deals a year. So love it. Go ahead, Stacey. You got something to add?
So, I was trying to think there for a moment, obviously the social media, but something that worked when we were in our days, because as a new build rep, we definitely incubated and loved our realtors. That was a relationship that we catered to, was new home buying seminars. And I've noticed that they're starting to do those again. So if you partner up with a builder, and sometimes the builders are in our market, the new build reps actually get along very well and work together very well. So sometimes we'll pick 3 different builders that kind of offer different price points, different locations, and you can come together and target with them for marketing high-end rental. We have some apartment complexes here that charge $2,500 to $2,800 a month in rent. So if you guys start hammering that and start offering, you can go do a library, you can do one of the model homes, and the new build seminars bring in obviously the mortgage companies and stuff like that. That was very productive for us when we were new build reps, and I noticed they're starting to do them again.
You can own a new home for less than you pay in rent in this city. It's crazy. Paul McMahon, Seattle, Washington, got your hand up, man. What, you got a question or comment? Go for it.
Okay, well, no, actually what I was, I think a lot of people might want to know, why is new construction, or how is it such a great investment? And what I've noticed out here is that they release all new construction in phases. And so they'll have a price point, and then there'll be like a little bit of a bidding war. And so when the new phase opens up, it's already at that higher price point because everything's going to appraise. And then when they open up the next one, and so if you get like I think it was Stacy mentioned that, get in early. If you get in early, you're going to have instant equity. By the time that phases out, you're going to have hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity here in this market.
I love it. Great stuff on that, Paul. So I've got a question or comment for the panel, but Stephanie, I'd like for you to hit this one also. So Stephanie, everybody on here would love to do $1 million sales and stuff like that. But obviously somebody's not buying their first or even second house of that. They're stepping up into it. Do you, Stephanie, as a custom builder, allow for people to have a home to sell contingency? How do you work that? Because obviously it's probably like their fifth or sixth house by the time they get to what you're doing.
Yeah, in my situation is a little bit different. By the time somebody's coming to build a $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7 million house, it's real simplistic. 20% down, non-refundable, or I'm not going to start. So there is no home sale contingency. There's none of that stuff. That's serious money. So you got to have serious buyers. And I think that's another, great point to truly find out from that builder before you take your clients there, what is the requirement, right? Because if you're, 10% down, 20% down, or 5%, whatever the case might be, you need to make sure your client has that, because there's nothing worse than, spending time, especially when you get into the $2.5, $3 million range and above, where you spend an hour with a builder and then, he or she says, okay, 20% down to 2 million. And they're like, oh, well, we only have 30,000 to our name. Well, what the hell did you do with all that time?
And that goes back to Stephanie talking about getting to know the builders before. And I would advise this, definitely pick a builder, pick a rep, go spend time with it. Because in our market, when someone tells me they don't have a large down payment, I know what builders already that will allow them to do their deposits in increments. So that's stuff that you've got to know before. Yeah, for sure. And then two, the home to sell contingencies, Jim, in my experience, as long as you communicate, we just had one where we literally had our sell side fall apart at the closing table. The builder was very willing to work with us and give us an extra 30 days. We had to cover the rate lock extension, but you don't get that type of stuff on the existing market. So this is also, and it also comes from relationships, because we've done a lot of business with this builder. So that those relations, going back to relationships, will actually get you some favors if that's one thing that you want, one way to look at it.
One of the downfalls right now of our really hot market is this. Everybody here knows this. If you're a seller and you put a sign in your yard, it's going to sell probably, was selling in like a couple hours. Now it's probably going to sell in a weekend or two. And then what happens? You're friggin' homeless, right? You got nowhere to go. You were on a 3 or 4% rate before. And now all of a sudden you're going out in the market and you're looking at 7.5%. And you're going to take a house that you maybe don't even want, right? Because there's no inventory. The new build industry fixes that for your move up buyers, because they can go and they can get what they want. They can stay in the house they're in. They can avoid the double move. And they can time it with you and the builder working together. They can time when to put that house for sale, and they can still get a great rate and get everything that they're looking for. And that just doesn't happen right now in the used market, right? Ford, isn't that what we said in the new build industry? We call them used homes. I got new homes. These are used homes that we're selling over here. And so that's great on that. So we're going to be wrapping up here in just a second. For anybody who's got to jump off, if you go to the bottom and click the 3 dots in the chat, you can download the chat so you have everybody's contact info in here. But here's your call to action. So masterminds are great. We thank all of you for being on here. In fact, bring a friend next week. We do record these, but here's the reality. How many recordings do you already have that you need to watch? Probably a bunch. You're not going to get around to watching it. So just time block it out every Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time, and the other times going west from there. And just be here and bring a friend with you. Come on in. And if you have a special topic that you're really good at, you're passionate about, maybe a class you've taught or something, hit up whoever invited you on here, and maybe we can get you on here as a panelist or a featured speaker to give back to your real estate community. Here's what I know about teaching classes. The teacher always learns the most. Or gets the most out of it, really, because it reinvigorates you and gets you going like that. So we have them every Thursday at noon. I'm not sure what next week's topic is, but we'll get it out to you as far as what we're going to be doing. But it's going to be something amazing. Stephanie, if you know what it is, you're welcome to throw it out there. Or if Big John's on here, if he wants to pop in and tell us what we're doing next week. We'll let you know, but we like to do these targeted, and we like to have panelists, but we like your input and things that, that you can add to it here from that. So your call to action is this. You can jump on the mastermind, you can learn this information, but knowledge is not power. The application of the knowledge is where the power is. You can learn, there's professional learners who learn all the time. You can tell that's not me by how bad my English is, but there's people that are just professional learners, but they never put anything into action. Here's your call to action today. As soon as we get off this mastermind, find out who the top builder is in your area, find out who the top builder rep is, and set an appointment with them for some time in the next week to go and sit down with them. Don't pop in on them because they're busy, they've got appointments. Set an appointment like a professional agent, go in there, be dressed to impress, and go in and talk to them about their product and how you might be able to work together. And you want to bring them your leads. You want to give them access to your database so that the two of you can work together to do some business here for the rest of the year. That's it. That's your call to action for today. That will set you up right now for success. Once you've done that with the first builder, find out who the next best builder in your city is and who the rep is that you want to work there. By the way, if you don't jive with the rep, you go and you don't click with them, find a different rep inside the same company. And the builders are going to be happy to see you. They're going to be happy that you took the time out, as Stephanie mentioned, to come in and learn about their product and tour their home and find out what they do allow and what they don't allow in your marketing. And then ask them, what's the most effective ad we could run right now that I could get people, I could run on Facebook or somewhere that I could get people in your model this weekend. What is it we could do? And you could literally have appointments by this weekend knocked out. You could do your ad today, get an appointment with them tonight, get an ad out running today, and have some appointments set up for the weekend, and you're off and running with new builds. So is there anything our panelists want to add before we wrap up here? We're coming right up on 1 o'clock very rapidly. Anything we missed? Thumbs up if we're good from for our panel. Everybody, a little round of applause for our panel today. They did a great job. Hopefully you all learned something and we can add multiple extra sales into your GCI without adding a lot of extra time. You know, the great part about the new builds are the builder rep does all the work. Your job's just to get them in the door and sit there and shut up and don't screw up the deal. Let them do it. They've been through specific sales training for their product, and they know what's right for the buyer that you're bringing in, and it'll be great. You're gonna make a lot of money, have a lot of fun, and have some extra time in your life. So thank you everybody for jumping on today. Bring a friend next week. We'll get the recording out so that you can see it. Don't forget to download the chat. And we'll let you know ahead of time next week what our topic's going to be, but I guarantee it's going to be something friggin' awesome so that all of you can make more money and enjoy real estate all the more. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to stop the recording now, and we'll get it out to everybody.